Hey everyone, welcome to the Oasis Podcast. I'm your host, Miss AJ. Thanks for tuning in. An oasis is something that provides refuge, relief, or a pleasant contrast, and that is exactly what you will find tuning into the Oasis Podcast. This is a space where I and special guests will be cultivating intentional and honest conversations about life's journey. Subscribe everywhere you listen to podcasts and watch us on YouTube now.
Hey y'all, hey. Welcome back to another episode of the Oasis Podcast. I am so glad that you are joining me again today. And so today's episode is talking about me. And just taking a little deeper dive into who I actually am. And though I actually plan to record this podcast before I had this experience, I was recently asked this question of like a who are you question. And even though it's like, I feel like it's one of those questions you probably get asked, I don't want to say a lot, but you know, if you interview or if you're dating and stuff like that. But at the same time, I don't know if it's a question that we really think about as deeply as we should. But I wanted to record this podcast because I feel like, this topic on the podcast, because when I initially started the podcast, I kind of wanted it to, because I felt like it was like a verbal diary that I was sharing with the world. I wasn't as, I want to say transparent, though I don't know if that's the right word I want to use, but I had like a little pseudonym and I didn't record videos and I wanted to keep it private but public, if that makes sense. Well, you know, that's done. And so I wanted to, in a sense, it's like a reintroduction of who I am, but a more comprehensive look, I would say, and even maybe a little deeper dive. And I think that it's going to, and it does set a perfect groundwork for the podcast moving forward, for understanding, for my new listeners, and for my old ones to get, just to know me a little bit better. I would say, though, if you've been listening, you get a good idea of who I am. But maybe this would add, another layer to it. And in answering this question recently, I answered it a little different than how I had planned to speak about it on the podcast. However, they essentially, and when I say they, the things that I said essentially all align and are very similar. And when I'm asked this question, or when I asked myself this question, the things that popped into my head automatically was, I'm a woman first, a mother, an entrepreneur, and a creative, and those were the things that really popped into my head, that sat with me. And I want to start with the fact that I am a woman. And I feel like, especially now in the times we in, Lord, especially now, though, it still has always been a thing for Black women, that our just being, I feel, has been under attack, but it feels more so, especially now, because I think all women are under attack. And we are so hated, and it just doesn't make any sense. And people just want to control us and just view us as property. But I'm not allowing that, and I'm not going to allow that to happen to my child. And I'm not going to be ashamed of the fact that I am a woman. I am a woman. First off, of course, I'm a human being, right? Born in His image. But most importantly, I feel that I am a human being, but I'm a woman. Being a woman is kind of amazing. There's some parts to it that suck. I ain't gonna sit here and hold you. But overall, I don't think, honestly, I joke about this, like with my sister and stuff, like, if I'm reborn, I want to be a man. But the truth is, I would not want to be a man. If I can come back again, I would still want to be a woman. I still would want to be a Black woman, to be 100% honest. But in my womanhood, I am a spiritual being, right? I am healed and I am healing. I'm a Leo. those who know. I'm a nurturer. And overall, I am just light. I am a light in my own life. And so I want to make sure I cultivate that light and I don't let anything or anyone dim it. But I also know that I'm a light in other people's lives, and through my personhood, through my friendship, through my love, through my mothering, I bring my light to others, and I want to not forget that piece of myself as we are under attack, in this world now, and as we experience just negative stuff and people treating you bad and just neglecting you. I don't want to forget that I am light. I don't want to allow anyone the power to dim that light. As another part of my personhood, my womanhood, and I think this is what most people lead with when you're like, oh, who are you? Especially if you're asked that on an interview. The first thing you're like, well, you still listing off your credentials. As you can see, I didn't do that first. Years ago, I started a job, and I'm not going to say where because then I'm out some folks in the job, but years ago. And I just remember, now you had to have certain qualifications to have this job, right? So everybody in the room technically had the same education level. Maybe the degree was slightly different, but it was the same education level. And every time people would have, we did a lot of introductions and meeting people, and people would just read off their resume every time they open their mouths, and that used to just drive me fucking crazy. Like, okay, we know this already. All right, just say something else. You know what I'm saying? It was just annoying to me. But in this world, labels and status are important. So I want to state this so people know that I'm not just a talking head. I'm not just someone full of opinions, that I have education and I have expertise. And so I am master's educated. I am a certified life and attracting authentic relationships coach. And I am a trained postpartum doula. That is not all I am, but those are the things that I feel are the most important in this moment and for the work that I'm currently doing. And the next thing that I feel is a major part of my being and who I am is that I'm a mother, right? It still feels kind of crazy to say that I have a whole daughter. I don't know when it's ever gonna feel real, but it's just so.
Are you feeling overwhelmed by the demands of life? Motherhood? At AJO Consulting Services, LLC, we offer comprehensive wellness services that include personalized coaching, doula care, consulting, and personal professional development to help you navigate this beautiful yet challenging phase of life. Our services are designed to support individuals and communities, especially women, birthing people, and families of color, in creating a more joyful and stress-free experience. From family planning to postpartum care, we provide the tools and resources you need to thrive. Let AJO Consulting Services help you prioritize your well-being and create a healthier, happier future for yourself and your family.
Strange, to say I'm somebody's mother or refer to my child oh yeah, my daughter, oh my God, I made offspring. It's just, I don't know, it's just such a wild thing for me to say. But this new addition, this new layer to my life has really, I feel, grown me as a woman. Now, don't get it twisted. You still a woman without having children, okay? You can still mother without having children, so don't go out here running or think that you're less than just because you ain't birthed no baby out of your own body. Because there's many things you can birth. There's many things and people you can mother, and they don't have to be biologically yours. So let me throw that out there. But the physical pieces, and I think I get some spiritual pieces, because again, I told you guys about my pregnancy story and my birth story, but I didn't talk about the postpartum piece. But that experience, the whole experience had really transformed me, and motherhood was the cause of it. So that's why I say that, because if I never got pregnant and I never gave birth, I would never have gone through those things that I had to literally fight through. My life was literally on the line for, and so that's why I bring that up. And there's so many ups and downs to motherhood, and lots of feelings about motherhood, and how, there's a lot of grief around that notion for me. I'm gonna be 100% honest about it, that I'm still working through. I still have moments where I'm triggered, and I probably record a whole episode about this, but still a lot of moments of grief of, this is not what I envisioned, right? This is not how my little family was supposed to be. But you know what? The reality is, it turned out exactly how it was supposed to. And I'm grateful for how it turned out. I'm grateful for the moments. I'm grateful for single motherhood. And not to say people run out to do it and like it's the easiest thing in life. It's not. However, I prefer it over the alternative. And the alternative being stuck with someone or in a relationship with someone who doesn't value you, who doesn't give you the things that you need, who doesn't even show up how they're supposed to as a parent. Yeah, I would choose single motherhood over that any day, to be 100% honest with you. Especially if, you don't need that person financially. You don't need that person for your livelihood. You don't need that person for your everyday functioning. And some people are stuck in that situation, and that's why they stay coupled up with people. And they're just suffering, and your mental health suffers. And I can go, on and on and on. Honestly, there's a lot of statistics that how mental health is the biggest killer of women who are pregnant and postpartum. And that piece of feeling like you have to be with somebody because you can't afford to not be with them, yet that person is not helping you, not treating you well. Your brain, your emotions, your mental health severely impact you on a regular. So can you imagine when you are in heightened hormones, you have a human being you just gave birth to, how that breaks you down at an accelerated pace? Yeah, no. I'll choose single motherhood every single time. And I stand on that. I will not allow somebody's son who was not raised properly, someone who was afraid of change and afraid of growing up, to bring me into an early grave. I got a whole kid to care for. And on top of that, I got me to care for. Yeah, I'll choose that every day. And I stand on that 10 toes down. And being a mother, I ain't playing by myself, but I played too much with myself, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, in hindsight, when I think back to it, I felt like I had strong boundaries, and I felt like I didn't let people play with me. But now when I look back on it, and now how I stand firm and don't play as a mama bear, I realized, oh girl, that was child's play you was doing. Because now you could never come to me in the way that you did to me before. So anyone who got away with anything prior, you was lucky. Yeah, you was lucky, because you would never, and it would never happen again in the ways that it did. And quite frankly, you don't fuck with me, you ain't fucking with my baby. And I stand on that. Like, you don't respect me, you don't talk to me, you don't show me a level of regard, and you think you're gonna be kicking in my baby face? You think my baby's gonna be around you? You think, no. Hell no, not happening. And the way I don't play with my baby is the same way now I don't play by me. And it should have started out that way, but guess what? That's all right. I'd rather learn a lesson late instead of not learning it at all. And we a package deal. So at the end of the day, don't ever think you're gonna be smiling in my baby face. Don't ever think you're gonna be in my baby's life past anything that I allow, because we a package deal. The next layer to me is that I'm an entrepreneur, and everybody in my mom are entrepreneurs now, and that's fine. And I think that they're in this world that we're in. I do think it's like a popular thing to do, and the people don't realize how hard it is. But I also think that, it's good to try to venture out and do something on your own, even if you fail, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with having a 9-to-5 and being an entrepreneur. I forget what they call that exactly. There's a name for it. But I say try it. Like, at the end of the day, try it. If you fail, you fail. And then you can start over. Like, you can go ahead and get a regular 9 to 5, right? And we need both. We need entrepreneurs and we need people who are worker bees. And there's nothing wrong with either of it, because the reality of the situation, entrepreneurs work harder than 9 to 5 people. And that's a fact, because you get to clock out when you've done your shift. Entrepreneurs you're always on the clock. Your brain is always thinking about the business, how to grow, how to make money, how to change, how to this, how to rebrand, how to reach more people. So it ain't for everybody. It's not, and that's okay. It's truly okay. It's something that's very difficult, but fulfilling. I think if you're in it for the right reasons and doing it something that you are passionate about. And so I'm the owner and operator of AJO Consulting Services, LLC. AJO provides comprehensive wellness services that empower Black women, Black people, and Black communities through consultations, coaching, doula care, personal and professional development, with a special focus on preconception, prenatal, and postpartum. And my business has changed. Though I've become an official entity in 2022, I've been doing this type of work in some degree, some variation for many years. And I'm not new to this. You know what I'm saying? I'm real true to this shit. And anyone who knows me knows this, right? When it comes to women, community, youth, when it comes to Black people, when it comes to mental health, reproductive health, we start talking about that, baby, you gonna feel the passion, okay? You gonna feel it, because this is something that I stand on, that I really truly want to see a change in, to make connections in, to see impact. And I would say after birth, I kind of reshaped and rebranded the business to be really more focused, and I'm happy about that, because it feels even more, genuine. It feels even more true to who I am. And I know that regardless of what my business looks like, it will always.
In this day and age, you shouldn't have to choose between being present for your child and your job. You shouldn't have to choose between your mental, emotional, physical health, and your livelihood. Both can exist, both can thrive. I'm here to help you achieve that. Empower your parenting journey with a workplace accommodation consultation with AJO Consulting Services now.
Always walk in purpose for our community. And that right there is enough for me to keep going, regardless of how sometimes, you're like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I should do this. Should I invest in this thing and make this and do that? And it can be really tiresome, because you're doing all of this and you're still working full time, and you're still a full-time mom, and you still got to manage your own life full time. It's a lot. And knowing that this is work that I really believe in helps me keep pushing through. And there'll be another episode on what AJO does coming soon. So for those of you who are interested, who want to work with me, who want to partner with me, I can network with, you can still reach out to me at info@ajoconsultingservices.com. You can reach out to me on my website on www.ajoconsultingservices.com. And I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn as well, so you can reach me there. But I'll have an episode detailing a lot more about what I do and how maybe we can partner together. And lastly, I have here that I'm a creative. And honestly, over the years now, I never thought I was a creative, which is so odd now that I think about it, because I've literally been doing creative things since I was really young. But for me, I never thought that word described me, because in my mind I heard creative and I thought artists and painters and singers, when that's not the case. And it's especially not the case in this day and age, right? The truth is, all I do is create, like, on so many different levels, right? I'm not only a podcaster, I'm an author and a poet. And I've been writing poetry and writing in general since I literally probably was in like elementary school, and I've gotten things, published in like, newspapers, like little things that were just community wide. And then as I got older, I published or co-published with, our ladies from writing our own stories. And I also, did other little publishing here and there, but I have always found a way to make nothing into something and how to use my words to paint a picture. And podcasting was just a newer medium for what I've done since childhood, honestly. And that's use my word to tell my story, to give insight into me. And when I was younger, I used to say I was simply complicated. And in a lot of ways, I am and still am, honestly. But one thing for certain and two things for sure, I'm a whole ass experience, okay? All right. And if you've ever been in my life, I'm not easily forgotten. One thing for certain and two things for sure, I'm an experience. And anyone who has met me, if you've ever been in my life, or if I've ever been in yours, I'm not easily forgotten. We could have a whole phone now. You still gonna remember me. You still might reach out to me. And this is not even coming from ego, It's a matter of fact, this little Leo in me talking. But I mean this to say that I don't take it lightly, right? If I encounter someone, and again, that ties to my womanhood and my light, I really imprint, you know what I mean? And when I was younger, I felt, because I didn't have control of it as much as I would have liked, I felt like it was very draining, and I didn't like that part of me. But I love this part of me now. I am a multitude of things. I am all the things. And that, makes me happy. That makes me who I am, the good and the bad, right? And the bad things, I don't just be like, oh, well, it's me and that's that. I'm working on them. But I'm making sure that the things that quote unquote are bad, or the things I've been criticized about, are truly things that are negative to my being, and not because someone doesn't know how to handle it, not because someone's own lack of self-esteem, self-worth, self-knowledge is just intimidated by it. And that's the difference between who I am now versus who I was then. And I am a multitude of things. I am a beautiful conundrum. And I now, especially after this experience of motherhood, am so settled in myself in a way that I've never been. And I am so ready to share myself with this world and hopefully my new love, because where you at, baby? But seriously, this is who I am. Stay tuned and join me on my journey and see who I am becoming. Till next time.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the Oasis Podcast. I hope you were able to find something that resonated with you on your journey. Don't forget to subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts and YouTube. Rate us and leave us a review and comment on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, and YouTube. Share your favorite episode and like us on Instagram and Facebook. If you have any questions, comments, want to be a guest, or any show ideas, contact us at ajaysoasis@gmail.com. That's AAYJAYSOASIS@gmail.com, or direct message us on Instagram and Facebook.